All right, good evening and welcome to the SOARA Tuesday evening VHF UHF Net. This is Ted, Kilo Oscar 6, Alpha India Mike, and this station will be net control. Prior to beginning the net, is there any emergency, priority, or echo link traffic? No emergency, priority, or echo link traffic heard. We will now resume the net. Welcome to the SOARA Weekly VHF UHF Net. This net is held every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. local time on the SOARA link 447.180, 224.640, and 147.645 repeaters. This net is open to all licensed FCC licensed amateurs. You do not need to be a SOARA member. We welcome check-ins and participation from guests. For our discussion tonight, we're just having an open topic, so please bring up any questions, thoughts, experiences you want to share around amateur radio and the hobby. Firstly, do we have any announcements from the club? Nothing heard. Can I get a quick radio check, just in case? I only heard Ray a few minutes ago, but if anyone could come back to me, please.
You're full quieting, well, nearly full quieting, maybe 5% white noise. Very readable. 86H.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ray. I switched to using my ICOM IC705, and I think it works a little bit better than my HT. It's on the same antenna. It's a like a roll-up, not a J-pole, but a roll-up. Oh, shoot, I forgot. But one of those roll-up antennas, and it's worked okay, but I think it's working better here, so thank you very much. At this point, I'll be taking check-ins. Please give your name, call sign, and location, and let me know if you'd like to participate in the discussion. Please come now with your name and call sign.
86H, Ray.
Echo. Don't know, folks. Participate in the discussion because I don't know what the subject is. Back to net.
All right, I got AE6H and Alpha India 6 Whiskey Echo. Is there anyone else who would like to check into the net at this time?
Kilo November 6, Alpha Sierra Romeo, Dion and Rancho, Santa Margarita.
All right, I have Kilo November 6, Alpha Sierra Romeo. Dion, you're just kind of up the ridge from me. I'm in Rancho Mission Viejo. All right, anyone else checking in? We might be late this evening. We oftentimes are on these first Tuesdays of the month, but we'll take any check-ins. All right, well, we can get started. It's going to be brief, and that's okay. And if anyone joins us late and wants to check in, that's all right, too. I do appreciate the opportunity to get out my radio and kind of dust it off. Like I said, I'm trying something a little bit new. I have an experience right now where I can see the courtesy tone on my radio, but I don't hear it, and I'm not sure which setting that is. I'll have to play with that. That's why I wanted to have Ray give me that check-in, because I wanted to make sure I was still receiving okay. So Ray, AE6H, anything new in your world around ham radio or anything else you're up to?
Well, nothing new. I do think we had a short double with the beginning of your last transmission, so we can break for that possible station.
Absolutely. If there was a station I was doubling with, I apologize. Please go ahead and come now with your name and call signs. All right, well, nothing heard on my end. Ray, if you want to come back and either take it away or let me know if maybe you picked something up that I missed, I'd appreciate it. 6 a.m.
Okay, no, it was just sounded like a double, but it could have been an interference signal. For Mike's sake, the topic tonight is BYOT. That's bring your own topic. There was no specific one. If you had something you wanted to talk about, it's certainly that's what we're here for. Anyway, new on Hammer Radio, not a lot for me at this point. I'm exploring the world of MeshCore. Haven't bought all of the equipment yet, and so we did try it briefly up on Saddleback Mountain for the Billy Goat climb last Saturday. I understand it worked okay. Again, I don't have a radio yet, so not good to experience it. But at any rate, that's the latest thing at SOARA. If you haven't been dialed in, and so it's a keyboard-only type experience. Generally, you have a small, looks like a handheld radio or something else in a small project box, which is your transceiver, but Bluetooth to your cell phone to use the keyboard function on the cell phone more. And of course, they go peer-to-peer, and some peers can be relays, all sorts of things. So it's a mesh network, if anybody's familiar with that, an RF mesh network. A lot of people were using mesh tactics. but SOARA decided to go with MeshCore. Has some advantages, I understand, and we have a MeshCore node at the Temple Hill repeater site. So just FYI. With that, 86H over to net.
Hey, thank you so much, Ray. Yeah, I played around a little bit with Meshtastic. I have 2 devices here. I am waiting for my brother to get printing me a case for one, and I'll probably flash MeshCore onto that little device just because, yeah, it seems like that's the new hotness, and like you said, has some advantages. I appreciate that the club has a repeater up on Temple Hill. I unfortunately can't reach that one. That's my concern about the MeshCore and Meshtastic right now. It just happens where I'm living. I mean, I know they're supposed to be pretty effective, so once I get it back, maybe I'll see if I can find a location in the house and let it repeat. What's nice is sometimes you can have them then act, like mine can communicate via Wi-Fi, so I can be on the other side of my house from it, and it'll still work, which is neat. Like you said, it's data only, although I did see some cool things that came out of a recent like ham convention where someone was doing voice, but it was like voice messages, not live voice, because of just the way the technology works. So very cool. I hope you get to play with it soon. All right, we'll pass it to 8 Alpha India 6 Whiskey Echo and just see how it's going, Mike. If there's anything you want to talk about or ask about, and pass it back to me if you're done. 6 a.m.
All right, really not much going on here. You got a couple radio projects I'm working on, but really not too exciting. But besides that, I know a few people that do with the Meshtastic. There's several over here locally by me, but don't have the equipment to play with them, so maybe down the road I'll play with it. Who knows? Alpha India 6 with Echo. Back to net.
All right, thanks so much, Mike. We'll pass on over to Dion, Kilo November 6 Alpha Sierra Romeo. Take it away, Dion.
Just joining in on the net tonight and listening, and great listening to everyone and learning a little bit about what's going on in ham radio. Other than that, nothing other than working through Gordo's book for the general. And I'm pretty good on safety and regulations, but the rest of it is a learning experience. But I'm having fun with it. I've been back and forth through that book twice now, and I'll probably do twice more. The N6 ASR back to net.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dion. Let's see. Lately, I think I mentioned I switched over to my IC705. It has a couple of advantages that I'm enjoying. I really enjoy just kind of listening and seeing what I can pick up. I play around a lot with my SVR, and I finally feel like I got that set up. We moved about a year ago, and I hadn't played around with that or much more than just the weekly net for a while. So it's been nice. I still want to get in the attic and set up an antenna. Actually, I want to get on the roof and set up an antenna. And I think I can do it in a way that DHOA won't see, but our roof is pretty high. And even with our extendable ladder, I don't know how to get up there. So trying to figure out a solution how to do that. We'll see what I figure out. But it'd be nice to be able to set up a couple of antennas up there. We have a flat spot where people put their dish for old school satellite television. So I think I have a spot to put it, and it's removed from everything so they won't see. But again, don't know how to get up there. I can run the wires, but I can't quite get out to the roof. At this point, we'll take any late check-ins. If anyone wants to check into the net, it's just kind of a free-for-all, talking about bring your own topics, talking about anything ham radio. Please come now with your name and call sign.
November 5, Kilo Zulu Victor, Bob.
All right, I've got you checked in here, Bob. And anyone else out there who would like to check in? All right, nothing heard on my end. Bob, go ahead and take it away. November 5, Kilo Zulu Victor.
Thank you and good evening. This is in fact KZV. And Ray, I want to thank you for the information on the club going with MeshCore instead of Meshtastic, because I've just purchased, haven't received yet, but I've purchased a node, and I was very interested in it myself. And it's good to know that we're using MeshCore instead of Meshtastic, so I won't be looking for signals that aren't there. Another thing I'm very interested in is anybody out there familiar with DigiPi? And that question, I'm going to give it back to Net Control. This is N5KTV.
Bob, Bob, I heard that you had a question, but I couldn't hear the specific thing you were asking about. Could you come back one more time with what that was? And I'll try to turn my audio up and see if I can catch it.
Roger, I'm requesting information that anybody might have on their success using DigiPi. DigiPi.
Heard. Okay, that was talking about DigiPi. I believe, is that the hotspot, Bob? All right, well, we can pass it back around. So Bob, N5KZV is asking if anyone has any experience using DigiPi. I have a little bit of experience a while ago using one of them. I can't remember if it was DigiPi or there was one I believe called PiStar maybe. So I'd have to do some research, but on the next go around, if you have a specific question or trouble, maybe someone can help you out. But at this point, we'll start up at the top of the list there with AE6H. Go ahead, Ray.
Oh, thanks, Ted. This is Ray, AE6H, and I'm drawing a blank completely on DigiPi. I have, level 1. I know it exists. I recognize the name. It ends there. I would like to, just on a slightly different topic, you mentioned, Ted, wouldn't be able to reach the node on Temple Hill. Well, absolutely not. But if I understand it correctly, if you've got a neighbor or someone you can reach on MeshCore, and by the nature of the mesh, it crawls out over the mesh and eventually would end up at Laguna and return. So I think I understand that correctly. That's what I've explained is you don't really, and I could, because I too would have difficulty hitting Temple Hill. There's a big chunk of granite between myself and Temple Hill. VHF 2 meter 147645 is okay with a rooftop antenna on the second story. 440, not so much because of the difference in propagation. The 2 meter will knife edge over, but I'm certain that the MeshCore would not. So anyway, but if it crawls out onto the web or the mesh, if you will, not to be confused with the internet, and eventually finds its way to the destination. Correct me if I'm incorrect. And this is AE6H over to them.
AE6H, you are correct in my understanding of how the mesh works. I just happen to live in a spot where I don't know that I can hit anyone who's currently active, but maybe there's something out there, maybe it'll jump okay. I live kind of at the bottom of a valley, or at least at the base of the hill, and the other hill next to me might be blocking. So we'll see. I still want to set it up, and hey, if you build it, they will come. So I do want to get mine online and see if I can get on the air on that spot, and if not, well, there's only one way to make the mesh stronger. Also had thoughts of building one of those little solar boxes and seeing if I could find somewhere safe and good to put that I could reach, and kind of just expanding the mesh that way. To answer Bob's question, I did a little bit more digging, and now I remember DigiPi is a hotspot, but it's not the same as the the DMR D-Star hotspots. It's for expanding JS8, APRS, some other things that's for your data modes that you can access on your phone or web browser, it looks like. So if anyone has any experience with DigiPi, we can talk about that. Right now, we'll pass it over to Alpha India 6 Whiskey Echo. All right, Mike may have stepped away, and that's okay. If he wants to rejoin at some point, we'll call out one more time on the next go-around. Dion, KN6, Alpha Sierra Romeo, takes away.
Yeah, in the discussion about mesh nodes, how much power is required from one node to go out and find the next, and the next, and the next, etc.? Does anybody know?
Dion, so we talked about last week, people were talking about AI, so I will tell you right now, honestly, I'm double-checking AI for what I remember. I'm actually not saying it on here, but I thought it was something like 1 watt. It's very low, low power. That's one of the kind of draws to it, is that it kind of fits power, especially for listening, but broadcasting as well. Back to you, Dion.
Well, that's very interesting. We'll make a note here and get that going on the computer and learn a little bit more about how that system works. Sounds interesting. KN6ASR, Dion, back to the next.
Thanks so much, Dion. Yeah, I pulled up just a little bit more here, but it's using some LoRa, which is a standard technology as a backbone, and they typically operate between 0.003 watts and 1 watt. I think in order to do a higher watt, you have to be an amateur radio license, and you're supposed to use the other frequency, but I could be getting things a little confused. I know there's a MeshTastic and probably MeshCore frequency that's reserved for licensed amateur radio, but then you have to turn off your encryption. There's some fanciness around that, so you might want to look up. But I believe most people operate at about 1 watt in the 900 megahertz range, so that's pretty cool. All right, we will go over to Bob. Bob, N5KZV, take it away.
This is N5KZV, and from what I've been reading, you're absolutely right. It's a 1 watt max on the mesh, and it's 915 megahertz, which is an unlicensed part of the spectrum. It falls right in part of our, I think it's 33 centimeter band, but you don't have to have a license to operate on that, which I thought was pretty interesting. N5KZV, back to net.
Any late check-ins, and then we can go around another time. Does anyone want to check into the net? Please come now with your name and call sign. Oh, nothing heard. We got a small but not mighty group that happens from time to time. I actually see that it's often Dion and Mike and Bob and myself, so appreciate you all being here. We'll start back up at the top here. Over to you, AE6H. This is Kilo Oscar 6, Alpha India Mike.
And thanks, Ted, for running the net tonight. And this will be my 73. I unfortunately can't add any more to the technology, but because as I said, both with the MeshCore and with the DigiPi, I'm at level 1. I know they exist. Anyway, 7-3 everybody. Good to hear everybody on tonight. 86H over the net.
Hey, thanks so much, Ray. Yeah, there's always something new going on in ham radio, which is part of the joy of the hobby. You know, there hasn't been an end game that I've seen yet. I think that there's always something cool happening. So being level 1 is part of the joy, I think. Some people may not like that, but that's okay. There's a lot more established things out there, too. All right, we'll give one more shout-out to Alpha India 6 Whiskey Echo. Mike, are you out there?
I am stepped away, as you said there, but not much else going on, and really don't have much more to add, so I'll just say 73, Alpha India 6, Whiskey Echo.
Hey, 7-3 to you too, Mike. All right, Dion, KN6ASR, over to you.
Thank you for running the net, Ted. Great listen to everybody. And we'll say 7-3, KN6ASR, back to net.
All right, 7-3. And last on our list here, N5KZV.
This is N5KZV, and Ted, I also appreciate you running the net. And I did learn something tonight, even though it was a short net. The MeshCore, to me, is important because, like I said, I'm buying a net node, and I will be trying it out myself. I will also say 73. So you all have a good evening. This is N5KZV, back to net.
Hey, thank you everybody for joining me. Like I said, even if we're only on for 20 minutes, it's nice to have that established opportunity to just kind of go around and check my levels, if nothing else. MeshCore, MeshTastic, they're interesting, Bob. I think if I remember roughly where you are, there's actually a couple nodes over in that area, that part of Lake Forest. So you'll definitely probably see some people, even though I think that you are not in a 2-story. But that's great. That's part of the joy of adding to the mesh. So I hope that's a good experience. Before I close the net, I'll go ahead and give one opportunity here if anyone wants for a quick late check-in. Please come now with your name and call sign.
Page with a comment.
Jason, could you please come again? I did not hear that.
It was me, Ted, Ray, 86H with a comment.
Oh, go ahead, Ray. Take it away. 86H.
Well, just for folks who want to know more about MeshCore, Dan does plan to give another presentation at a soon upcoming SOARA meeting. So an opportunity to learn more there. And he always said he's always available for questions. That's Dan N6 RPR. He's the mover and shaker at SOARA for the MeshCore project. With that, thanks again, Ted. 7386H.
All right, 7-3 to everybody out there, and yeah, I appreciate this is one of the cool things, and we've talked about it before, but being in a radio club, I think one of the joyful things is to be able to share things like this and see what you're interested in. So grateful to him, grateful to everyone who participates, and hope to hear from you all soon. This is Kilo Oscar 6, Alpha India Mike, and we'll go ahead and close the net at this time and return the repeaters back to normal operations. 7-3.